Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes. Now, with Halloween approaching, I thought I would tell y'all the story of the scariest movie that I have ever seen, why it scared me so much, and why 38 years later it still scares me. So, let me set the scene for y'all. It's the summer of 1982. I am 17 years old, and I have a summer job working at Six Flags Over Texas amusement park in Arlington, Texas. A fantastic place to work as a teenager. I worked the night shift with a whole bunch of friends, and when we would finish our shifts together every night around midnight or so, we were always looking for something to do together. But not being of drinking age, we couldn't go to the clubs, and our options were incredibly limited back then in terms of things that you could do starting at midnight. But what we did discover was that on the weekends, we could go to the local Forum 303 shopping mall, and they had a theater complex inside the mall, and we could watch the midnight movie, which was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So we went many a weekend to watch Rocky Horror after we got through working at Six Flags. Had a lot of fun doing it. But one weekend, a buddy of mine that was working with me told me that there was another movie playing at the movie theater in the shopping mall, another one playing at midnight that he had heard of, and he said it was super scary, incredibly gory, and the name of this movie, didn't have a clue at the time, but I've known it ever since. The name of this movie was Dawn of the Dead. This was a movie, it actually had come out a few years earlier in 1978. We're 1982 now, so it come out a few years earlier, eventually made its way onto the midnight movie circuit, I suppose. That's absolutely all I knew about the movie. It was scary and it was gory. I said, all right, well, change of pace. Let's go see it. I'm on. Let's see what this movie is all about. So we finished up our work shift. We changed clothes. We headed over to the Forum 303 to watch the movie that in some ways changed my life. So we finished our shift. We're over there. All the Rocky Horror Picture people are there to watch. They're showing the Rocky Horror Show. They're all dressed up in their costumes. They've got their props with them. They're laughing. They're joking. They're just having a fine old time while they wait to be let into the movie theater. Their movie actually started a little bit earlier than ours. So they open up their theater. All the happy, fun people go inside. And what's left is just a few of us waiting for Dawn of the Dead to open up. What was left? There's probably a half dozen or so of us in this other theater compared to a full theater next door. A half dozen or so of us. We are very quiet. We are very somber as we wait for this thing to get started. Not a word was said as we're led into the theater and we get ready for Dawn of the Dead. So the movie, which I know, as I said, I know little about, starts up. For those of you who have never heard of this movie before. Now, keep in mind, this is Dawn of the Dead that came out in 1978. There was a remake of it made in 2004, which is a good movie, but it's not the original, and it's not the one that scared me. So the movie that came out in 1978, it involves zombies. But this is way before The Walking Dead and the zombie rage that we've seen for the past few years. This was new. This was my first exposure to the whole zombie genre, and I had no clue what it was about. The movie comes on. The tagline for it, I should have known just from the tagline. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Get your attention right there now, doesn't it? I got mine. So the movie involves a group of 4 people who are trying to escape Philadelphia, which, like the entire rest of the country, has been overrun by zombies. They're everywhere. They're taking over everything. They're starting to invade where people are trying to hide out. So these 4 people escape in a helicopter. And as they take off in this helicopter, they're flying away from the city. You can see the lights and all the downtown buildings starting to go out as the chaos hits. Right before they take off, you have all this chaos and pandemonium hit a television station that's trying to stay on the air, give rescue information, and they see society just falling apart. There's a housing complex that's getting overrun by these zombies. So these people take off in the helicopter just in the nick of time. And as they leave, you can see behind them that things are just falling. There's no salvation for this big city. It's gone based on what you can see. So they fly all night. No idea where they're going. No idea where they can possibly go because it's affecting everywhere. But with their fuel running low the next morning, they land on the roof of a shopping mall. And they land on the roof, but it is completely surrounded by zombies as far as they can see. But they have to take a break just to let people get some sleep and everything. So while they're waiting, they see the zombies all outside the mall. They look in some skylights. They can see that they're inside the mall as well. Everywhere. Just creepy. All these dead zombies walking around everywhere. Eventually, though, these four decide that, hey, we can't run forever. We've got to do something. So they come up with a plan, and it eventually is kind of successful. They block off all the entrances to this shopping mall. They kill all the zombies inside, and they end up making the shopping mall their home. Nirvana, a heaven on earth, right? Four people with the entire mall at their disposal, while the zombies all wander around outside trying to get in, but they can't. So you've got this perfect setting inside, and outside the world has just gone to pot. There's just falling apart. So they have TVs. They're watching news broadcasts. They're seeing how bad the rest of the world has become, but they're safe. They're inside the mall. Of course, throughout the whole movie, we see horrific attacks by the zombies as they take bites out of people, as they just outright cannibalize people and such. Also, them getting shot by humans and dispatched in all kinds of ways. Yeah, it was incredibly gory, especially for back in the day. Incredibly gory. But here's the thing. The scary part about these zombies, and the part that just has always gotten to me for whatever reason, is that they are slow moving. They're not a threat if it's just one or two. You can run around them. You can knock them down. It's not that dangerous when it's one or two. But when there's dozens of them, when there's hundreds of them, when they're coming in on all sides, then no matter how slow they are, because there's so many, they are a major threat, and you run a major risk that you're not going to be able to get away from them. I think that was the part that scared me. Also, the part that if you get bit by a zombie, you turn into a zombie. And then you can turn on everyone. You can turn on your family members, your loved ones, your friends. You lose all semblance of humanity once you become a zombie. I'm sure there's some themes and symbolism and all that goes into that. All I know is I didn't want to get bitten because you turn into a zombie, and that's not a good way to live the rest of your dead life. The other scary part of this movie is that there is no salvation in the end. It's not like some of these horror movies where if you just survive the night, the police will come the next morning and all is good. No. They don't just have to survive the night from some killer. There's nowhere to go. The entire world has fallen apart. It's just a very dark and bleak movie. And of course, eventually some things happen. I'm not going to spoil anything, but some things happen that disrupt their comfortable life. And there's a lot of talk about we're safe, but are we safe? Are we in a prison, or are we in our salvation? And is there that much difference between the two? And eventually some things happen, disrupts their comfortable life. And it certainly does not become a happy ending for any or all of these people that have taken the refuge in the mall that we've been cheering for. Things don't go nearly as well as they had hoped that it would. It's such a dark movie. It's more gory and depressing than anything I'd ever seen before. Now, someone watching today will think, the special effects are cheesy. The budget was a little bit low. The plot's a little bit slow at times. All valid criticisms. But back then, it was absolutely amazing, and it was absolutely terrifying. That abandoned mall, it just represented a complete breakdown of society. It was so creepy because You've got all the horrible stuff going on outside, and yet inside the mall, you still have the cheery music, the water fountains are working, the escalators are working. Everything seems to be functioning normally inside the mall, even though you've got pandemonium going on outside. So the movie was as scary and graphic as I'd ever seen. But the night doesn't end there. And it's not just because of the movie that makes this such a memorable moment in my life for me. Because when the movie ended, we discovered that the Rocky Horror Show next door had already ended. Everyone had already left the shopping center, the shopping mall that were watching that movie. The only people left in the mall were the half dozen or so of us that watched Dawn of the Dead. We leave the theater and go into the interior of the shopping mall where the theater opened up. And we have to walk through this mall to get to the exit of the shopping mall. All the stores are shut down. The lights are all off. And we were being led through the mall by a security guard with a flashlight. Life imitating art, art imitating life. It was just like the movie. It was so easy to envision that this is the mall from Dawn of the Dead that we are now walking through. If someone dressed as a zombie had jumped out at that time, I would just screamed and run to who knows where. So we exit the mall. The parking lot's empty, except for our half dozen cars. It's 3 o'clock or so in the morning, and this is back before life was 24/7 affair. Things shut down at 10 o'clock, midnight or so. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't see a soul on my way home as I'm driving home. It was easy to imagine that the entire world had fallen apart, was abandoned, just like the movie. I went to bed that night terrified, my brain just spinning, envisioning that kind of situation. So as a result of that movie, I haven't been able to go into a shopping mall for the last 4 decades without evaluating every time, how well would this mall work if we had zombie apocalypse? Could I barricade the exits? Could I exist on the upper level while I took out zombies on the lower level? I'm always in zombie analysis mode every time I walk into a freaking shopping mall because of Dawn of the Dead. Now, I've seen the movie dozens of times since then on VCRs, DVDs, etc. But it's never going to compare to that first time when it was in a closed down shopping mall in the middle of the night. And I knew nothing about the movie, knew nothing about what to expect. So some real quick background information for y'all on the movie. The genius behind the movie was the writer and director George Romero, who just passed away last year, unfortunately. But he got his start filming clips for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in Pittsburgh, and then later started doing a few movies, including Night of the Living Dead, which was his original zombie flick in 1968. And Dawn was kind of a follow-up to that first movie. I eventually saw Dawn of the Dead, and it's a great movie as well, but it's not Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead itself was filmed in and around Pittsburgh. So when I had the chance to visit Pittsburgh during a business situation, I made sure to go to the Monroeville Mall where Dawn of the Dead was filmed. It was so creepy walking through the mall with the same fountains, the same stores to some degree, the same hallways, everything from the movie itself. All these people, they're shopping, they're laughing, they're having fun. And I'm looking around, envisioning zombies everywhere and remembering scenes from the movie that took place right where I'm walking and where I'm looking. It's very, very surreal, absolutely. So this is my scariest, most memorable movie ever. And again, I still think about it to this day. Huge impact on my life for just a movie from 1978. So how about y'all guys? I've told you what my scariest movie is. There's a lot of others to choose from, I'm sure. Tell me in the comment section, what was the scariest movie to y'all, and what was the situation that made that movie so scary that still haunts you to this day? I'm curious to see what other people have as their scariest as well. Guys, y'all have a happy Halloween. Have a scary, creepy Halloween. Woo! And if you get a chance, check out 1978's Dawn of the Dead and let me know what you think about that as well. Cheers, guys. SKD. Happy Halloween, my friends. Bye, guys.